Welcome back to the Book Digest. Today, we are tackling a giant, Leo Tolstoy's War and Peace. Now, I know, the name alone can be a little intimidating, right? It's famous for being, well, massive. But what if I told you that in the next 5 minutes, you're going to grasp the incredible wisdom hidden inside this masterpiece? Let's do it. And yeah, it's not hard to see why it has that reputation. We're talking over 1,000 pages, hundreds of characters. It really is a literary Everest. But our goal here is to give you the map, to show you the path through this epic story and uncover the profound insights it holds for our lives right now. You know, the key to unlocking this whole book is right here. Just think of it as two huge stories being told at the exact same time. On one side, you've got war. That's the big, external journey of history, armies, and entire nations clashing. And on the other, you've got peace, the quiet, internal journey of these amazing characters just trying to find love, family, and some kind of meaning. Tolstoy's genius is how he weaves these two threads together. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to step into the glittering world of 19th century Russia, meet the three people who will be our guides, and then we'll dive into Tolstoy's radical idea about who really makes history. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together to show us why this book is maybe more relevant today than ever. So first things first, we need to get a feel for the world these characters are living in. We are stepping right into the high society of 1805 Russia, a place full of dazzling surfaces and a lot of hidden tension. The story itself unfolds over 15 really critical years. It kicks off in 1805 with war on the horizon, hits this insane peak with Napoleon's disastrous invasion in 1812, and then settles into a kind of fragile peace by 1820. We're basically watching an entire generation get completely defined by this one epic conflict. And Tolstoy makes it really clear that this world is not at all what it seems. On the surface, yeah, it's all elegant parties and people speaking French to sound smart. But he peels back that glittering layer to show us this core of vanity, of moral emptiness. This gap between how things look and how they really are, that's one of the huge ideas in this book. So that's the world. Now let's meet the three people who are going to guide us through it. Their lives are the emotional heart of this whole novel. And believe it or not, they're all wrestling with the exact same fundamental question. How on earth do you live a meaningful life? First up is Pierre Bezukhov. Just think of him as the seeker. He's this awkward, incredibly honest guy, the illegitimate son of a count who suddenly inherits a ridiculous amount of money. His entire story is this passionate and often pretty clumsy search for just one thing, a meaningful way to exist. Next, we've got Prince Andrei Bolkonsky, who's basically Pierre's polar opposite. He's the achiever. He's brilliant, he's proud, and he is completely sick of his shallow high society life. So he looks to the battlefield, to glory and action, to find a purpose that feels worthy of him. His question is really, what is actually worth striving for? And finally, there's the heart and soul of the novel, Natasha Rostova. She is pure life force, just spontaneous, joyful, and emotionally wide open. She represents everything that is genuine and natural, which is a huge contrast to the artificial society she's in. Her journey is all about learning how to live and love authentically, even after making some really big mistakes. These characters also come from two very different families. You've got the Rostovs, who are warm, chaotic, super generous, and just bursting with life. And then you have the Bolkonskys, who are intellectual, disciplined, and emotionally kind of locked down. It's this classic heart versus head dynamic that plays out across the whole book. Okay, now we're going to pivot. We're moving from the peace to the war, from the ballrooms to the battlefields. And this is where Tolstoy drops his most radical and, honestly, controversial idea, his whole philosophy of history. He basically forces us to ask this huge question: who really makes history happen? So the common answer back then was what's called the great man theory, this idea that history is all about singular heroic figures like Napoleon. Tolstoy? He thought that was complete and utter nonsense. And he shows us his argument brilliantly by contrasting Napoleon with the Russian commander Kutuzov. Napoleon is a total performer, obsessed with his own legend, thinking he's the puppet master of history. But Kutuzov, he's patient. He gets that he doesn't control events. His genius is knowing when to step back and let these deeper forces just do their thing. And here it is, Tolstoy's world-changing idea. He argues that history isn't some chess game played by a few great men. Nope. It's a massive, unstoppable wave made up of millions of tiny, individual choices of ordinary people like you and me. History moves from the ground up, not from the top down. So, what happens when this epic force of history crashes into individual lives? Let's take a look at how the absolute chaos of war forces our characters to find a much deeper kind of meaning. Let's go back to Andrei. He goes to the Battle of Austerlitz looking for fame and glory, but he gets wounded, and he's left lying on the field, just staring up at the immense, silent sky. And in that one moment, he realizes how petty his ambitions were, how small even a guy like Napoleon is. It's this profound spiritual awakening that changes everything for him. Now, Pierre, our seeker, he also has a huge transformation, but his comes from a really unlikely person. As a prisoner of war, he meets this guy Platon Karatayev, a simple peasant soldier who is everything Pierre is not. See, Karatayev doesn't have any grand theories about life. He just accepts it, moment by moment. And by watching him, Pierre finally gets it. There, in a prison camp, with absolutely nothing left, he finds the peace he'd been chasing his whole life. Not by finding the right answer, but by finding the freedom and just letting go of the questions. Which brings us to our final, and maybe most important question. Why should we still care about this 150-year-old book? I mean, what does it have to say to us right here, right now? Well, because it connects the biggest scale possible, the sweep of history, with the most intimate one, our own search for meaning. It makes us question power. It shows us a path to find purpose even when things are chaotic. And it delivers this profound truth, that real happiness isn't in some heroic achievement. It's in the simple, quiet moments of family and friendship and love. It doesn't give us easy answers, but it teaches us how to live with the big questions. And so the novel leaves all of us with a question to carry with us. Take a look at your own life. Are you the author of your story, totally shaped by your own choices? Or are you, like Tolstoy's characters, maybe part of a much larger wave, moved by countless forces beyond your control? It's a question worth pondering. Thanks for watching.